Hi, it's and welcome back to my channel for another video. And today I'm taking you along my July plan with me in my bullet journal. If you haven't seen, I just changed my notebook. I migrated into a new notebook. I would leave the video of setting up all of the yearly pages. But now I am making my first monthly setup in this new journal, and for my theme I decided to go with cherries. Here is some of the material that I will be using. My journal is from Sequus on Amazon, and then I use Faber Castel and Uniball fine liners, a white jelly pen, and some of my Tombow markers for the colors. I am very excited to share with you this theme, but before we go on with my July pages, let me just flip through my June pages. I know that it says May on the cover. I messed that up, but these are my June spreads that I'm currently using, so you can kind of see what they look like, and we can move on to the July ones. I decided to go with a very bright theme for the summer and just have something really fun and also very simple. If you are a beginner, this is very beginner friendly. The doodles are extremely simple to make, and there's only really two colors. I added a couple drawings that were kind of like to make it a little bit more interesting, but if you just keep it to the cherries, it's one of the simplest themes that you can do in a bullet journal, so I hope that you can find something that will work for you. I first started off with the calendar page for this setup. I decided to have on the left page the calendar and right next to it to have the cover page, but since I'm going from left to right, I'm starting with the calendar. And what I did is just to have a simple calendar. It is 3 dot grid wide and then 4 dot grid tall per days in the calendar, and then I have a 1 square border around it in red and a 2 border thick for the top, where I will put the writing. I just use the white jelly pen to write in white the days of the week. I do have to say the white jelly pen that I use isn't the best, so it doesn't really show off. If you have any recommendation for a better white pen, I would highly need one because mine doesn't work super well, but it does the trick for what I need it to. For the cherry doodles, the way I made them, it's basically kind of like a heart shape that is really wide for the top part of the cherry, and then it's just rounded at the bottom, if you can see kind of like that kind of shape, and then you just have the stem. I decided to just go with a black line for the stem. You can also use a green marker to do the stem, but I decided just to make it simple. And then on some of them I just added a super simple leaf just to have a little bit of a touch of color that isn't green. Sorry, that isn't red. And then to make it just a little bit more different, I added a milk carton to the page. I decided to add in kind of like a cherry milk element in this drawing just to have a little bit of something else. I've been wanting to add this to a theme for a long time, and I just thought that it was the perfect theme to add it to. moving on, we have the cover page for this theme, and for the cover page I kept it extremely simple. I just have the title in bold. It's centered, but it's slightly more on the upper side of the page, and it's basically just calligraphy, which is simple calligraphy, which means that I just wrote the letters and then I went back in and make the strokes that are downstrokes a little bit thicker later on, so it's a little bit easier to do than regular calligraphy if you're not very familiar with it. And then I just outlined the entire word and added some white highlights to make it pop a little bit more. And then I added a mini calendar right underneath the name of the month and some doodles around, but I just kept it extremely simple with the kind of same doodles I had before. Nothing too crazy for this. And if you are interested in seeing more videos just like this one, I will leave my Instagram and all of my other socials in the description box down below, so you can go and find some more inspiration. I post a lot about my bullet journal on there as well, so feel free to go check all of these out if you are interested in more content from me. Moving on to the next monthly page, I have a monthly tracker, and this is my habits tracker, and I'm trying out a new layout for this month. I have never tried this one before. It's basically I just have the shape of the mini calendar for the month in red, and then I outlined another shape of the calendar, but that is one off. It is one dot grid away from the left side of the red shadow and one on top, so it's kind of like not on top of each other. And I will use the grid that I made with a black liner to actually use the page, and the red shadow is more like for design purposes. And then I left enough space in between each row to be able to write down the habits for each one of the mini calendars. If you're not familiar with how habit tracker works, basically you can have different activities that you want to do each month or each day of the month, and then you have a calendar dedicated to each. And whenever you do that activity, then you can just cross off the day. So that's why I have separate calendars for each of those habits. I usually have 9 habits, and I tend to stick to the same ones. And when one is mastered, I change it to another one that I feel like would benefit me. and it's just a way to incorporate new habits or build up ones that you already have. For the decoration of the page, I went with the title in green with some bubble lettering, and then I made on the left side another carton of cherry milk, and then I made some cherries on the other side and all the way on the top line of the page, just to have some on the top and on the bottom. But since it was already so bold and colorful with the red shadows, I just kept everything pretty minimal just to have it not be too busy. And my next page is another tracker, and this one is a mood tracker. It is one of my favorites tracker to use, and basically the way you can use one is you have a space for each day of the month to record how you're feeling, your emotions. I usually go for smiley faces from good to bad, because I tend to have a hard time to identify a specific emotion, like happy, sad, or anxious, or any of that. So it tends to work better for me, but if it works better for you, you can use certain emotions to track them. And basically the way I made this tracker, I have the same title that I used for my cover page, just to have some elements come back from that. It usually how I tie my themes together along the month is to use kind of like the same handwritings or fonts, and then I just went around and I drew 31 cherries to have one for every single day of the month. And it's a little bit time consuming to do, but it's also very fun, and I like the way of having them so separate so that it's really easy to see at a glance all of the emotions, and then I will just have one color per emotion, and I will just color them in with the emotion of that day. And if you want to see how I fill in my bullet journal, you can check out my TikTok, which I will link in the description box down below. I try as much as I can to do daily updates and actually fill my bullet journal on camera to show you guys how I actually use it. So if you are interested in that, I will link it in the description box down below. The next page on my regular list of pages that I always do in my bullet journal is a sleep tracker. It is an essential for me. I really value my sleep, so having a better idea of exactly how much I sleep and kind of seeing the phases and be able to really see like the patterns and all of the information about my sleep is very useful to me. If you don't know this, I also live with multiple chronic illnesses, so I deal with chronic fatigue a lot, and it's just overall a really great tool, I think, for anyone to have. But for this one, I basically have a box that is 32 squares tall. There's a 1 dot grid header at the top for the hours of the day, and then the box is not the width of a page. There's actually 2 dot grid spaces left on the left side for a line of color where I will put the dates for each day of the month. I basically have 1 dot grid per day of the month, and then that line I will fill in the hours for that day using the units at the top where I put the hours. I do a 24-hour clock, and then I basically just decorate the top of the page. I used the bubble lettering just like I did for the habits tracker, but this time I did it in red, and then I added in some cherries just to make it all pretty. And that is basically it for this page. It's honestly one of the simplest layout for a tracker, but it is very effective. And we are now onto my very last page for this monthly setup. There will be one more that is in the final flip through at the end of this video, but I didn't actually have the footage of me making it because this video was already long enough, which will be a master to-do list. But this page here is the highs and lows of the day. If you have never heard me talking about this page, it is basically a place to put the highlight of your day and then the lowest part or your least favorite part of the day. And it's just a very good way of reminding yourself of the positive and thinking more positively, but also not falling into toxic positivity where you only see the positive. It just helps to keep things balanced, because it's not good to just think that there's nothing bad either. It's about balance. So that's why I really like doing this page. It's just also just like good to reflect on your day. I basically have 31 days going from the bottom of the page for all of the days, and then I have the headers for the 2 different sections. On the left I have for the high, and on the right for the low. It's separated the page down the middle with a black line, and then I just basically have the title at the top of the page, which is just highs and lows of the day. Nothing complicated. I kept all of this really simple. I wanted to keep this set up as simple as possible. I don't have a lot of time lately for my bullet journal, so I've been going more on the minimalist side lately, but I'm also very happy with that. with that being said, it is now the end of this video. There's only the flip through left, so I hope you enjoyed this video. If you want to see more, definitely subscribe for more. Turn on the post notification bell if you want to get notified whenever I upload next. Tell me in the comments what you thought of this video, if you want to see more just like this. And also follow me on all of my other social medias. It always helps me a ton and I like to see you on there. And I will see you guys in the next one. Bye!